Welcome to That's Canon, the podcast talking about the Canon film series and other similar movies. This is episode 49, and I'm Phil.
And I'm Greg.
Greg,
Oh.
you feel how I felt last weekend when I watched this movie.
Oh, King Solomon. You must be turning over in your grave or tomb or whatever.
Wherever you
Wherever you
are,
are,
King Solomon.
we're sorry.
Is
Humanity has forsaken you.
King Solomon, is he the one who was like, hey, cut this baby in half? Was he that one?
Was that the I don't know my old stories all that well. I have no idea. I don't know if he was just like a biblical character or how much overlap there is with actual history.
Yeah, it's right
I
here,
don't know.
actually. Perhaps the best known story of the wisdom is the judgment of Solomon. Two women each lay claim to being the mother of the same child. Solomon easily resolved the dispute by commanding the child to be cut in half and shared between the two. One woman promptly renounced her claim, proving that she would rather give up the child than see it killed.
Wait. How could two different women lay claim over the same child?
I
Like,
don't know.
like they must know which one of them gave birth.
Maybe this is like a really cool kid. Like
Oh,
he came out with like sunglasses. It's like finger guns.
wiggity wiggity,
Yeah,
or
we
or some kind of cool '90s-ism. Tubular.
tubular. Yeah. So there you go. He did. He tried to cut a baby in
Wow.
half.
Wow. See, what's funny though is that the actual that story is much more fun to talk about than this movie.
Oh, definitely.
Just like so many of the movies that we've had on the show.
I this one is I think the most blatant in it ripping off a movie so far.
Oh yeah, I mean, so yeah, like spoilers. I'm not spoilers. What am I talking about? Like, if anyone listening to this has not already seen the poster, go look at it now. It's pretty obvious that this is trying to rip off Indiana Jones hardcore, and it tries and fails spectacularly. But I've got a comprehensive 6 point critique of Indiana Jones things that it fails to do. So
I
I'll save that for the end, though.
I mean the poster, as you said, it had the font is different, but the gradient transition is the same where it goes from like yellow to red,
Yeah,
right?
it's and I think hang on a second, I gotta bring up the other one because I think it also kind of looks like it's almost like meant to be coming out of a comic book page because it's kind of like the white and they're kind of like
Yep,
popping out of the picture in the middle.
exactly. And it's a Drew Struzan-esque uh poster, but it's not Drew Struzan. It's probably like Bob Struzan.
No, you're still like it's not even in the Struzan family. It's like their neighbor's dog or something.
The dog's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
It's just like they just put the dog's paws in paint and ended up with this.
The
That's actually kind of cool. The poster is probably the best thing about this movie.
it is, but it should have warned us about certain things before even getting into the movie. First, the guy is Alan Quartermain, who's like, I guess he's a very famous character,
I was going to
right?
ask you that because he shows up. What's that other movie from the 2000s that has him in it?
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, surely that movie, as bad as that was, didn't like try to resurrect a character from King Solomon's mind. So I assumed that he was like a previous literary character. I must have been.
Alan Quartermain is the protagonist in H. Rider Haggard's 1885 novel, King Solomon's Mines.
Whoa. Okay. Back up. This is a this is based on a real book.
Yeah, that I
Um
knew. Like, I knew King Solomon's Mines was a book. I didn't know Alan Quartermain
was in
like
it.
was in it,
Okay.
right? But there are multiple Alan Quartermain books.
So is it the same author who wrote all of them, or did people just take the character and
I think after he died, people took it and ran with it. But there's one called She, A History of Adventure, which is an Alan Quartermain film.
interesting?
Alan and the Ice Gods, the Ancient Alan, one just called Alan Quartermain.
Oh, okay. Just kind of caught the middleman there. Just about Alan himself. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, he's like a famous what do you call it? Like hunter,
Like a
big game
swashbuckling adventurer.
sportsman. It
Wait.
says an English-born professional big game hunter and occasional trader living in South Africa, which I
Oh,
didn't
okay.
get any of that from this film.
No, I think Sharon Stone refers to him as like a legendary hunter, but we never see him like hunting or stalking anyone. He's just
He
kind of an idiot.
he kind of stalks Sharon Stone in the movie.
He kind of does though.
And he's played by Richard Chamberlain, who I I can honestly say I think this might be the first Richard Chamberlain film I I actively know I've seen, and I don't like him.
Yeah, he's not very charismatic. I mean, I guess he's kind of got that Harrison Ford look. Like he looks the part of a leading kind of adventure guy for a movie like this, but he's not a good actor. Maybe this is the bad material. I've never seen anything else with him in it either
That we know of, right?
that we
Oh
know of.
well,
Yeah.
Towering Inferno, but Towering Inferno is a Charlton Paul Newman Steve McQueen film, so I don't even really remember Richard Chamberlain in that.
He must have
Uh,
been must have been a bit part or a side character or something.
but yeah, Richard Chamberlain, poor guy. He is the if you're assembling a dashing character, he is the default of all the settings, and then you enhance it from there. But no one ever enhanced him.
he's I like the idea that he's like a video game character, and when it gets you to like the create a character screen where you can customize the look, it's just like the default
Yeah,
before you move any of the sliders. He's like, no, that's good enough.
that's good enough. Here we're gonna put a helmet on him anyways, so we're not gonna
he's,
see it.
he's gonna get armor and crap. Just oh, poor whatever your name was. I've already forgotten him.
And to add insult to injury of this being a Indiana Jones ripoff, you have John Rice Davies in the film as well.
Yeah, that. I mean, so I think we talked about that last time. I knew that he was in it going in, but boy, was he wasted.
And he's in it a lot too.
Yeah, he's the
He's
bad guy, which was surprising.
I know, right? I never I guess maybe I've never just seen too many John Rice Davies centric films, but I never really pictured him as playing the bad guy in
No,
a film.
no. I mean, maybe so. We grew up, with watching the Lord of the Rings movies and Indiana Jones. Obviously, I think we're just maybe just conditioned to having him be the lovable sidekick character.
Yep.
Oh,
Poor John Rice Davies. And then also the leading lady in the film is Sharon Stone, who
none other than.
I guess she's all right in it. She does well with what she's given. I can't really blame her for anything in the movie. She's perfectly acceptable. But she's also entirely forgettable.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest kind of sin for that character is that she's just kind of forgettable. I mean, it's clearly so. I mean, I don't want to get too into it now, but like that's another big character type that they try to rip off from Indiana Jones, and she's just kind of there. She's just there to react scared to things that happen, but she's got really no motivation, and she's just kind of whiny, and they don't.
Sh-
Yeah,
She's an amalgamation of Marion Ravenwood
from
and
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
from Raiders of the Lost Ark and the one in the second film, the Stephen King's wife, not Stephen King's,
Uh,
Steven Spielberg's wife. I forgot what her name
Stephen
is,
King. Wow, Stephen King, way to go, dude.
but
Uh,
they like chose the worst aspects of each character and combined them into Sharon Stone's, which is
yeah,
essentially just like I can do adventurous things, but I'm just overtly whiny.
yeah. See, that's the thing, like, because it's the kind of fish out of waterness of the Temple of Doom female lead was kind of funny. Like a lot of the comedy came from her, but they lost the funny, charming parts of her personality, and they just kept like the complaining part and put it in King Solomon's minds. She's not, and that's the thing. Like she's supposed to be like the Marion part of her, which is like kind of like capable. Like she's in that world a little bit apparently, but she's totally helpless in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. 100% right. It's the worst parts of both characters.
Willie Scott, played by Kate Capshaw. Uh
Willie, yes.
let's let's go ahead. Let's get into the actual content. Oh wait, no, just wait before we do that, before we get into the content of the movie. This is directed by a I guess you could say it was directed. But it is directed by a canon, I guess regular. J. Lee Thompson is back directing this film. We actually just got off watching one of his films, The Ambassador.
Uh,
But he
well,
also directed 10 to Midnight.
oh,
And he
wow.
will direct Death Wish 4.
Uh,
uh,
huh? I'm not sure how.
yeah,
What's the like nonverbal equivalent to cautiously optimistic? He's
it's
got some
kind
good
of,
stuff, some
he
bad stuff.
does. He has like his early career was definitely really good. I mean, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, Battle of the Planet of the Apes. Like he's done good films. This is probably just towards the end of his career, and he's
Yeah,
probably just going through the motion and doesn't really care.
he got a paycheck. Because I mean, I think that's the biggest thing to mention about this one. It looks expensive. I mean, it looks cheap, but they spent a lot of money on this cheapness. I guess they just like, executed it poorly. There must have been a paycheck in it for someone because they got some decent names, and it's just it's lazy in some ways, but you can clear it's clearly they spent a lot of money on it. Do you think the director was he in it just for a paycheck?
I would assume everyone but the three main actors are in it. Everyone else is in it for the paycheck. The three main actors
Just a
are actually
job.
trying. Like Sharon Stone, John Rice Davies, and Richard Chamberlain all look like they're trying, especially Chamberlain. I would assume he was probably lied to get into this movie. He was probably told that this is the next Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, and that's I was just gonna say the same thing about Sharon Stone because I think this is probably pretty early in her career. I'm guessing.
Yeah, this
Um,
is not, this is pre Basic Instinct for sure. Basic Instinct was the 90s. I think a lot of Sharon Stone's like bigger work came towards the late 80s, early
early
90s.
90s. Yeah, and that's what I was thinking too. So maybe she knew how garbage it was gonna be, but it was like a leading role, so that she was trying to like launch a career out of it.
She's like, I gotta do this.
I got to do something.
If I don't, I'll fall into obscurity.
And so she did.
Well, King Solomon's Mines opens up with like, it's unbeknownst to us at the time, but it's Sharon Stone's dad, and he's getting pumped for information, essentially the map to King Solomon's mine, because that's the MacGuffin for the entire film. Inside the mine, there's a whole
Right.
bunch of gold, and it's kind of like finding the Cup of Christ, right? In
Yeah.
the Last
It's
Crusade,
it's the artifact, it's the main destination that everyone's trying to race to because of
and yeah,
things.
because they all need money.
I was gonna say because everyone's just a greedy motherfucker who wants to raid this temple.
And the movie, I guess it was kind of weird. It's set during World War I era, because like the Germans are in this and they're evil, but they're not
But they're
Nazis,
not
right?
Nazis. Yeah, they've got that kind of like Kaiser Wilhelm look to them. They don't have
Yeah.
the I don't think they had the pointy hats, do they?
No, they don't. No one has the
Okay.
pointy hat,
No.
unfortunately.
But our main German guy, bald German guy, he does have sparkly, glittery things on his shoulders. I don't know how that fits in, but
He does. Applets, I think they're called. Like that's the
the
thing. Like it's like the thing that goes on the piece of
shoulders.
fabric. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as they're pumping him for information, Sala or John Rice Davies shows up, and he's essentially
Oh.
like, we're gonna find King Solomon's mine. And they fade away, and we see Alan Quartermain and Sharon Stone walking through the jungle.
In the middle of another movie that we're coming into a like halfway through.
Exactly right. This scene that we come into is the scene, like the end scene of the beginning of Indiana Jones, where like they get out from the temple and like the balls rolling at them and stuff like that.
Mhm.
This is like the postscript for it, because Alan Quartermain and Sharon Stone immediately go to a city. And I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah, it's really jarring. Like there's no introduction to each one individually. They're just kind of like already together with a group of people on some adventure. And it's not one of those cases where it's like a cold open where like you see your characters midway through some adventure, but that wraps up and then you see them start the real adventure from the beginning. No,
Yeah.
like they're already on the plot. They're already on the thread to get to King Solomon's mines when we meet them. They've already started. We're coming into this movie. Yeah, it's like coming into the movie like a couple scenes too late. Like you walked in late and you're like, oh, what happened?
Like, literally nothing. I don't believe you.
Exactly. You went to go get popcorn and it's just there.
I must be like 20 minutes late to this movie. Um,
We can only
did
hope.
you see who did the musical score for this film, by the way?
Don't 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 remind me. They,
Fucking Jerry
Jerry Goldsmith.
Goldsmith.
This movie did not deserve Jerry Goldsmith of such fame
Academy
as Academy Award winner or
six
nominee.
six-time Grammy Award winner,
Grammy.
five-time Primetime Emmy Award, nine-time Golden Globe, four-time British Academy Films, and 18 Academy Award winner Jerry Goldsmith.
God damn this stupid universe of such fame. I mean, clearly, the reason I know and love him is because he scored like most of the Star Trek movies.
Yep.
I think he scored the Star Trek Voyager opening theme. He did Alien.
Yes.
He did Total Recall, and like so many like touchstone movies for me as like a movie lover. Like it's like all Jerry Goldsmith.
This guy won. We're gonna bust right through him. He won Academy Awards for Freud, A Patch of Blue, Sand of Pebbles, Planet of the Apes,
Yeah.
Patton, Papillion, Chinatown, The Wind and the Lion, The Omen, Boys from Brazil, Star Trek, the motion picture, Poltergeist, Under Fire, Hoosiers, Basic Instinct, LA Confidential, and Mulan.
And he did King Solomon's fucking mines.
I'm assuming this is how the conversation went. We need someone to score the film. Did you just see that Jerry Goldsmith put in Variety that he has pre-scored stuff just laying around for sale? It's like 60% off.
60. He's having a garage sale and he's just got like random tapes of things that he's like, it's all right. It's like B tier Jerry Goldsmith. He's just like hawking it at a garage sale.
100%.
Or it's okay. Yeah, it's either that or someone had some really like deep, dirty gossip on him and they're just like blackmailing the shit out of him.
Like Jerry. Well, I don't even what would he did the score for Gremlins 2. So, wait, but Gremlins 2 came out after this. I was about to say they'd be like, Jerry, we'll release pictures of you clapping cheeks with that with
the gremlin puppet.
I don't know what it would be. I don't know. It would horrible.
Yeah,
absolutely horrible.
Nothing. Only horrible options. Only horrible hypotheticals lead to Jerry Goldsmith doing this movie, and yet here we are. It happened.
Yep. And then we haven't even like 4 minutes into the movie. So Alan Quartermain and Sharon Stone, they eventually get into this town, and I swear to God, it's like 30 minutes of a 10-minute scene. Essentially that scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark where Indy and Marion have all the hijinks and antics inside the town for like 15 minutes. We get this for like 30 minutes, and it's just horrible.
Yeah, and we keep going back to the fact that they were ripping off Indiana Jones, but like not only did they rip it off in terms of tone and setting and kind of like the general plot structure, it's like an adventure to get an artifact, right? They actually rip off specific like plot beats or action set pieces. Remember that part where Marion hides into the basket and then she gets carried into like the swarm of guys carrying similar baskets, and Indy's got to like look through all of them, and it's like a comic moment.
And it's classic.
It's
a classic scene.
Everyone remembers that. They rip it off completely. Only instead of like a wicker basket, it's like a rolled up rug.
But the the biggest issue here is we've seen Sharon Stone for 10 minutes. And besides going, oh God, she's pretty, we don't
Ugh.
know anything else about her. So
No.
the fact that she gets kidnapped almost immediately coming into this town,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, we kind of just don't care yet, or really ever, it turns out, but not certainly not now.
And then also, like, there's scenes in this marketplace where they're looking at the movie's obviously set in Africa. I guess maybe that wasn't so obvious, but there's scenes where they're buying and selling slaves, and someone comes up to Alan Quartermain and offers money for Sharon Stone. And Alan
Yeah.
Quartermain kind of like plays it off. I guess because it's set during 1881, you wouldn't really think otherwise of. I guess it's not set during 1881 if it's
No, it's World War One. Yeah, it's
World
like
War One era.
1912. I mean,
Okay,
pre World
so
War One, I guess. So
everyone pretty much knows slavery is bad at this point.
yeah.
Then, uh,
And Alan Quarterman, he just kind of rolls with it. He makes a joke. I was like, oh, or I think, yeah, Sharon Stone says this thing like, oh, like $100 to own a human being. That's horrible. And he's like, well, you can haggle with them.
yeah,
like
exactly.
like the joke is that's expensive. Like, are you kidding me, movie? We're talking about owning people here, like literal slavery.
Nothing endears
That's
you
not
to a
funny.
main character more than
Like
casual slavery.
like jokes about haggling over human beings. Oh my god.
Well, didn't we have an issue with another canon film where it was essentially like the main character was doing deplorable things, and we kind of went, how does this endear us to the hero when
Oh,
they
I'm
do stuff like
sure.
this?
It'll come to me. I'm sure a couple movies,
I'm pretty sure almost every canon film so far
most of
at
them,
some
yeah,
point.
it's just kind of par for the course.
It kind of
They
goes
just
back to Joe, right? Where Joe was a main character and he does deplorable actions.
Oh yeah, I mean, and then the guy, the rich guy goes along with him on those
Yeah.
antics, and yeah, you just end up hating the main characters. Little did we know that was a strong thread through this entire catalog.
But eventually, Sharon Stone she frees herself from her captors and she runs into an antiquities store, one that we saw earlier in the film. And by earlier, I mean 10 fucking minutes ago.
10 minutes ago, but it feels like forever.
It already does. And she's kind of asking about the map and her missing father. And she, unbeknownst to her, is getting tied up in slavery gear. And then,
Yeah, it looks like jewelry, but it's actually like a neck clasp and like bindings, like wrist binders, and she's just letting him put the stuff on her
kind
for
of
some reason.
kind of weird.
Yeah, because I think she thinks he's trying to like hawk jewelry, like he's like a
Probably.
street vendor or something.
Remember, like in The Ambassador, the one guy who was like, "Hey, you buy these jewels, blah blah blah."
Yeah, I guess.
I guess. Alan Quartermain then comes crashing through a window from the ceiling, shattering both of his fucking kneecaps because that had to have been at least a 20-foot drop.
Oh yeah, it's way up there.
He's not fucking Batman.
No.
But yeah, Alan Quartermain is essentially putting the works to the guy now. He's going like, get her out of this, and asking more questions about the map and the missing father. And they eventually they they open up a sarcophagus and they find the dead body of Sharon Stone's dad's
Dad's
assistant
assistant. Yeah,
that you'd never met before.
you'd literally just see him get spiked to death in the first scene.
Like,
That's it.
it's almost like, who fucking cares? It
Who
should have been the
cares?
dad.
Yeah, or someone we care about. It
Uh,
like
it,
wasn't even a reveal.
yeah, no, it wasn't. It was kind of a shitty effect too. But then ensues a gunfight between the vendor and Alan Quartermain. There's a couple, I guess, okay gags in it, but it's a lot of like, LOL, I'm a woman kind of stuff, and it's kind of degrading towards Sharon Stone.
A lot of her lines are like that too. She says something later in the movie like, I think it's when she's in the plane. We'll get to this again, but she's like, oh, my dad wishes he had a son because then the son would know how to fly this plane.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
horrid.
she says crap like that about herself this entire movie.
So dreadful. Alan Quartermain lights a stick of TNT in order to make a deathful escape, but Sala comes in, and there's tension in quotes because the ticking time bomb of the TNT wick is burning down. The vendor eventually finds the TNT, and he just goes like, "Hey, I found it," and then he blows up.
And he blows up. That was kind of funny. I mean, I like watching dynamite blow up, but I also kind of felt bad because it was so cheap.
It was it was something else, that's for sure. Uh and then again, then there's like another kind of like little mini chase scene. And
Oh
we
my
eventually
god.
do
Yeah.
see we do see Sharon Stone's dad again. And again, they're talking about King Solomon's mine and the whereabouts and stuff like that. And again, it's this is the end of the market scene in Indiana Jones, where like they get into the wrong truck and stuff like that, right? Like they're about to get captured again by the Nazis, but then they somehow make a deathful escape.
Yeah,
It's
it's
that
like
scene again.
it's exactly that scene again. It's but okay, I have to just say like when they got out of the antiquities store and I realized what was about to happen, like I think I like groaned out loud and like I realized like we're getting another market chase scene. It
Yep.
was the exact same scene, just with cars now.
Yeah, exactly. Really shitty World War I era cars, and there's no tension whatsoever. And it's kind of odd because there are guns and explosions going off, but the actors almost seem like they're kind of just shooting off screen. They're not really. Yeah, I don't get the illusion that they're shooting at each
Oh
other.
yeah, that they're actually like in real danger. No, I think it's because they didn't really slow down much at all between the previous market chasing and this one because when we're in the antiquities store, there's still like an action scene that happens in there. Like
Yeah,
we needed that kind of like scene where we slow down with the antiques dealer
in
and
talk and
and
build character.
yeah, talk, build the characters up a little bit, build like the stakes of the plot, like have them they like interrogate him for information, and then we realize that Sala is he wants to get to King Solomon's mine to do some evil thing, and they need to stop him. And here's the taking clock. Like we needed that exposition dump to like set up what the stakes are, what the risks are, what the ticking clock is, all that good stuff. But it just ends up being a shootout with a funny dynamite scene at the end. Like it never slowed down to build anything up.
Exactly. There was never a point where like someone from the town was like, "Oh, it's Alan." There was never just like like like
That's
there's never a moment where someone, I guess, just slows down the action. Yeah, like you
yeah.
said.
And you brought up a really good point. At this point in the movie, I was constantly forgetting everyone's names. I only know Alan Quartermain just because of I was like drawing parallels to the where Sean Connery played him in the new movie. Like we never hear people call them by their real names. I just don't remember any of them.
You know what? And again, we had issues with other films where they constantly say each other's names
And still don't remember.
and still don't remember. But this one just stops all pretense and they don't even say each other's
No.
names.
And again, it's because we came into this movie like half an hour too late, apparently. There's like a half an hour script that they just like chopped off where everyone introduces themselves.
Release the J. Lee Thompson cut.
It's just 3 hours of marketplace chase scene.
Oh God. Horrible.
Oh my god.
Absolutely horrible. But Alan Quartermain and Sharon Stone make an escape, and Alan Quartermain has like a buddy with him now. Kind of I don't know what the fuck his name is, but he kind of plays an important role in it, and they should have really kind of gave
Yeah.
him a name.
Yeah. Cause he's like, you think he's just like a porter or something, like just like kind of like hired help to carry stuff or like drive the car. But he ends up, yeah, having like really important plot threads later. But now he's just kind of comic relief because I guess he's afraid of the car. He's afraid of machines and stuff.
Yeah. When you say comic relief, the things that they should be doing should be comedic.
Yeah, yeah. their attempt at comic relief when it really just comes across kind of racist.
Everything how
Yeah.
they treat this guy, this poor dude, is just kind of It's not even low-key racist. It's just straight up racist.
Yeah.
But Alan Quartermain and Sharon Stone realize that they have to get to King Solomon's mine. And to order to do that, they're going to hitch a ride on a train. And they set up what
Oh.
you would think would be an almost pretty good gag. Alan Quartermain parks the car on the train tracks as they wait hidden in the bushes, as they'll, jump onto the train when it slows down. Now,
Right.
mind you, when we see this train, the train's going like a mile per hour. Literally anyone could just jump on this train at any moment.
As they do.
And the train is like 5 cars long. It's also the world's like smallest train.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Because I mean, I've seen trains in real life. I mean, these are probably like modern cargo trains, but they go forever.
Yeah. Uh, and they kind of have like a little comedic beat where Alan Quartermain's like, "Oh, the train will stop and we can get on," and they're like, "No, it won't." Yeah, well, no, it
Yeah.
won't. Oh my god, it won't. And they get on the train and it with
It-
great ease.
yeah, it was like not a problem at all. They all three of them ran up and just hopped on, no problem. Yeah, didn't need that car there at all, but it was an excuse to have an explosion, which was
There you
kind of
go.
cool.
Explosions are always cool. Um, the train is full of what were Germans called in World War One? Just the Axis?
I don't. I just called them proto Nazis.
Pre-Nazis, proto-Nazis. So the train is fuck it. The train is full of Nazis.
Yeah, let's yeah, not mince words. They meant to be Nazis.
Yeah. And Alan Quartermain is gonna disconnect the train cars to ditch the Nazis. And he does this by getting underneath the train and kind of like shimmying underneath it. But so a Nazi comes down on there too. So they have like a little tussle.
Yeah, but that seems like one of those things that probably sounded better on paper, and then in practice it was just kind of slow and awkward
Yes.
because it was like they're like kind of like crawling through like not rafters is the wrong word, but like the undercarriage of the cars. There's like maybe 2 feet of space that they have to work with and move around in, and so they're not like throwing punches. It's not very like not a very kinetic fight. They're just kind of like wrestling with each other until someone falls off.
They're
It's really awkward.
they're dry humping each other.
Yeah, to death.
They're like we can't do this with our clothes on or else it's a sin.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's 1912. No one will accept us.
I can see your ankles.
Oh my
How
gosh.
taboo.
Oh,
Uh,
well, I never. Yeah, it was just like not a fun action beat. It was just kind of wrestling.
uh, Alan Quartermain eventually gets topside and he busts into a car. It's full of Nazis, and he turns it around with his smooth, charismatic ways and starts playing a bugle.
Yeah, that this was actually the one gag and two gags. One is the quote of the week, but this one is the other gag that actually got a chuckle out of me when he barged in there. It reminded me of that scene, another scene in the Harrison Ford movie, Star Wars. You may have heard of it, where he like runs in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I heard of that
It's
one.
kind of like an obscure indie film. Only cool people have heard of it. Um, shit, where the hell was I going with that? Oh,
Yeah.
where Harrison Ford he like runs in and there's like a room full of stormtroopers, and he's like, ah, and he like runs around and turns like that. It kind of reminded me of that. So I think the only reason I chuckle at it is because it reminded me of an actually a good movie. So
It's yeah, exactly. It's a scene from a different movie that's better. Uh, eventually Alan Quartermain gets to the farthest car train compartment
caboose.
caboose, and inside of it is Sharon Stone's dad, and he's getting beaten the shit out of by a Nazi who keeps on breaking his whips over this old dude. So this guy, balls of steel.
Yeah, he's just taking that bullwhip like a champ.
And Salah's in there and whatnot. Eventually, again, it's like a Kate Capshaw moment because Sharon Stone shows up, sees her dad, and then just kind of jumps right into the caboose. And a little fight ensues where
Yeah.
there's, people shooting at each other.
Pew pew.
kind of like an Indiana Jones film, kind of like The Last Crusade, but this was made before The Last Crusade.
Yeah, it's true. This yeah, I was thinking of that too. It's like why does this train scene also seem familiar from an Indiana Jones movie? And I realized even though it came after The Last Crusade is where we get young Indy in
Yeah.
that first scene.
God,
Did
that
did
scene is so awesome.
it's so good. I don't even care. I mean, I was about to make a joke about like Last Crusade ripping off King Solomon's Mines, but even if it did, I don't care because it did it better.
Exactly. Steven Spielberg's probably like, watch this, and then he does it just
That is a
better.
good idea. That,
Uh,
but good.
that do you think directors do that sometimes? He's like, we need to do that, but we actually need to do it good.
Give me that, but good. Yep. I'm sure.
But yeah, eventually they disconnect the cars. Alan Quartermain, Sharon Stone, they all get away safely.
Oh, okay. There's two things before we get off the caboose scene. There's two things that happen that I want to call out that just
Yes.
made my blood boil. One, there's a part where Alan Quartermain, he like falls off the train, like the back of the train, and he's getting dragged. I'm not sure if you've ever walked around on like railroad tracks before, but there's these things. They're like big hunks of wood that kind of like connect the tracks together, and they're really huge pieces of fucking wood, and they stick out from the ground like 6 inches. Can you imagine being dragged behind a train and like having to like being dragged over those railroad ties? Your rib cage would be silly putty. I mean, it's it just makes no sense. So that was annoying. But the thing that was more annoying to me was once he kind of he crawls up the rope, climbs up the rope to get back to the caboose after being dragged, and he's like crawling around under the car again, and he sees one of the Nazis, that the proto Nazis, threatening the dad. And what does he do, Phil? He shoots that guy in the dick.
Yeah,
like RoboCop.
Right in the dick.
What is it with these canon movies and people getting shot in the dick?
Canon loves dick shooting.
they just get off on that, apparently.
I mean, that last Invasion USA, he shot so many dicks in that movie.
Shot so many guys in the crotch, and they were his own guys. I mean, like, I guess at least in this one, it's the bad guys. I mean, it's the good guys shooting the bad guy in the dick, like RoboCop. So it's a little bit better, but
freeze punk.
Freeze punk. Your move, creep.
Oh man. But as Alan Quartermain and the gang get away, they eventually find themselves upon a Nazi camp, and they do the gag from Raiders of the Lost Ark with the plane.
Yeah, with the plane out of control.
Except there's not like some insanely buff Nazi that he's fighting. It's really just Alan Quartermain chasing this fucking plane because Sharon Stone doesn't know how to stop it. Like, she doesn't know how to put it in idle, right?
Yeah, I guess she like I don't know enough about. I mean, Phil, you were in the Air Force. How do planes work?
Well, you see, you twirl the propeller, and then something with aerodynamics,
and then magic,
a lot of magic,
a whole lot of magic. And then there's like tray tables involved somewhere.
There is.
Yeah.
You got to make sure they're in the upright position when you're about to land. I don't know why.
Is that why this plane was going out of control? Is because Sharon Stone didn't have her tray table in the upright position?
The tray table was not in the upright position. That's right. That's why. The gag could have been good if it was shorter, and like, I guess not so pathetic, where it's Sharon Stone constantly just screaming like, haha, I'm a woman, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, again, that's where we get that line where like, my dad wished he had a son because this wouldn't be happening if I were a man. So just the worst.
Yeah. And then there's a in-air chicken fight between Sharon Stone, who is so terrified she's covering her eyes, because that's the way you want to do this.
Yeah.
Against, I guess, the Kaiser, the Red Baron.
Ooh, the Red Baron. I like the idea that this is actually the Red Baron, but it's Red Baron's brother.
Maroon Baron.
The Blue Baron.
Blue Baron. It's Sharon Stone versus the Blue Baron. And he's like, I've never lost a game of chicken before. And
yeah.
But he does.
And then he does, and haha, it's funny. because
Because
she's
he
got her eyes
lost.
closed.
Yeah.
Again, this poor Sharon Stone. She's trying so hard, but she's just like a child. They treat her like a child in this movie. Oh yeah, not in, just like right before this, she realizes she's getting in the hang of how the plane works, and then she does this. She says this line. She's like, "It's like driving a car," and then she goes, "Broom."
Yeah.
She like makes a car noise, like, oh, she's like a child, and then she sees the German and she covers her eyes.
Children are smarter than Sharon Stone in this film.
That's the joke. Get it?
Because again, after she inadvertently wins the chicken race
Chicken race?
contest cockfight. Pee-wee's in
Oh,
this
Pee-wee,
movie.
no.
Who wants a cockfight?
Yay!
But after that, like small B, Alan Quartermain, Alan Quartermain finally gets into the plane. He starts flying it, and Sharon Stone pulls out bombs, and she's like, "What are these?" And he's like, "Well, why don't you drop them on those Nazis over there?" And she does, and she cheers, like, "Oh my God, they're bombs!"
Wow. Oh my God. Oh, can we have to talk about before we get off this plane, how bad the blue screen is.
Oh, it's horrible.
It's really bad. I mean, I for a second there, I thought it was like a rear projection, which probably would have looked better, but like the thick black outlines around them, it's really bad. It's not mid 80s quality.
It's pathetic. Like a lot of things in this film, anytime that there is a false background, it's pretty damn pathetic.
Yeah, it looks like dog shit. As does the plane itself, by the way. Like it looks like it's made out of paper mache.
I wouldn't be surprised if they hired Richard Chamberlain's kids to make it out of paper mache.
There's like dry macaroni around the windshield.
I require macaroni
pictures.
It's pretty bad. And you can definitely tell because as they drop the bombs, they also cut to like stock footage of things from Africa, like animals running and shit. It's just
oh yeah.
It's just really, really bad overall.
And it's like clearly different footage too. You can sometimes in these old movies, you can always tell where it's stock footage because it looks a little worse because the stock footage is like 20 years older than when they shot the movie, and they just use it whenever they can. It looks bad.
Yep. Alan Quartermain and Sharon Stone realize that their plane has been injured and it's leaking white smoke. Sure. Which like Sharon Stone makes some I'm not calling her a dumb woman, but she makes a dumb woman comment about it, like, "Oh my God, we've been shot! Whoopsie doodles!"
Like that's the joke. This stupid movie.
So they jump off the plane just in time before it crashes, and they get to, I guess, like the first check mark. And we did forget to say this. So a statue is essentially what they're going off of in order to find King Solomon mines. And the statue is of a woman and she has ginormous boobs. And in the movie, they go and they find two mountains and it looks like two big pairs of boobs.
Yeah. And there's a name for it, right? Does it like it's something's breasts?
It is. It's like the breasts of Africa. I don't know.
Some kind of like mythological priestess or something.
It's the titties of, I don't know. I would appreciate the movie more if they just went total crass with it, right?
And not use the word breast.
The breasts of Sheba.
That's
okay. Sheba. The twin mountain peaks where the mines are located.
You just feel gross seeing it, and then the characters like refer to them multiple times too.
Oh yeah, they're like fetishizing the boobies,
the mountain boobies,
as Sharon Stone and Richard Chamberlain make their way to get to the mountain boobies. They are surrounded by a very impressive amount of extras who turn out to be cannibals.
Yeah, we got to talk about how they treat native tribes in this movie.
Uh,
in that it is horribly disrespectful at best,
yeah,
overtly racist at worst, because they're all like super aggressive cannibals.
every tribe that they meet in quote unquote the wild are, yeah,
They just
super
want to eat
racist.
people.
They want to eat
Yeah.
people, or they do like really obscure things, and you're kind of like, wow, they're treating them like idiots.
Yeah.
Yep, horrible. And as they take them into their tribal lands, there's a giant pot over a fire, and they realize they're about to get cooked.
Oh my God. Did you know one funny thing in this? Did you notice that there was like cobs of corn
I
in the
did.
pot?
It's kind of weird, right? Do
That
they grow corn in
no,
Africa?
not in 1912 or whenever this. I don't think so. But not only was there corn, which I was like, there's no way they're cooking with like big hunks of yellow corn, but they were pretty clearly like rubber or plastic too. So
Nice. Not only is it corn,
mm,
it's fake
it's fake
corn.
corn. They couldn't spring for real corn.
And I think also Alan Quartermain at one point makes a comment like, well, they like white meat. Um,
Uh, yeah, I think my brain blanked that out intentionally, but now I've remembered it.
it's also weird that they're gonna cook them to eat them, but they cook them in their clothes. I
Oh
don't know. You
yeah.
thought that this would have been a perfect opportunity for some like Sharon Stone boobage and Richard Chamberlain dong. But no, they don't go with it.
You think that it is a canon movie? Interesting, yeah, that they would. I guess thankfully they didn't go for the sleazy
Dong
route,
shot.
but the dong shots and in the nipple shots.
It's probably because they're trying to get that sweet Indiana Jones PG-13 money.
Yeah, they want kids to go see this, which it's still sending weird bad messages to kids, but I guess they're not
You
sexual.
you know
So
there's a kid in 1985 sitting in school going, that King Solomon's Mines, guys, it's the next Indiana Jones, and everyone else is like, I don't know, kind of looks bad.
and the kid gets pounded on the playground.
Yeah, they save up their allowance for like 2 weeks, and they go to the Cineplex. Yeah, and that kid gets the shit kicked out of him.
Oh, come on, guys. The book was good.
It wasn't that bad, right? Sharon Stone's pretty.
Oh man, I love the idea of a meta sequel to this movie where it's exactly that. It's the actual 1980s when this movie came out, and the kids actually try to. It's like a Goonies thing where they actually try to go to the real King Solomon's Mines.
They get to the point where they start recreating all their favorite scenes from King Solomon's Mines, but like the tribesmen are like, dude, this is really racist. Like, we're
This
not
is
like this at all.
this is really, and then they actually kill the kids.
They're like stupid kids.
Stupid kids for trying to steal their like precious cultural heirlooms.
Oh, eventually Richard Chamberlain and Sharon Stone knock the pot over and they go tumbling down. And you'd think like, oh, thank Christ, this gag is over. But then lions show up because this is Africa. And
Gotta have lions, I guess.
a lion kind of just like perches on the precipice of the pot and watches Richard Chamberlain and Sharon Stone kind of bang.
Yeah. What a romantic moment. We were just trying to be eaten by hungry cannibal people, and we just rolled down a hill in a pot which we probably should have died from, or at least we have been passed out. And now we're sitting in nasty corn water being stared at by a hungry lion. That's a romantic moment, apparently.
Eh, You know what? Out of all of it, the one thing that did upset me was the fact that they just kind of like they just sat in the corn water.
and got busy. Wow, I guess corn is an aphrodisiac. Today I learned
Today
corn water.
I learned corn water is a thing. But yeah,
Mm.
eventually the lion leaves, as lions do, and Sharon Stone and Alan Quartermain meet another super racist tribe of people who hang upside down because they're the polar opposites of the other tribes, so they're
Yeah,
like super nice and helpful.
what was up with that? They're like worshiping Sharon Stone for some reason. Like they washed her clothes and they're giving like showering her with jewels and food and grapes and other crap that doesn't grow in Africa. I don't think. Like
And
it's just
Sharon, oh yeah, first off, yeah, grapes don't grow in Africa. I don't think they do. That was really weird.
it's like an extreme luxury.
Sharon Stone's wearing like the frilliest, lamest bra in the world, and yeah, these people are maybe because they've never seen a blonde woman before, right? They're like fetishizing her.
I I guess.
But it's
Sure.
it's also really weird that these people who hang upside down all day long aren't dead from the blood rushing to their
From
heads.
hanging outside all day long. Yeah, it is kind of, we were just talking about how like they kind of avoided sexualizing Sharon Stone in that previous scene, but they couldn't resist a scene getting her shirt off
Oh yeah,
and in her undergarments.
they
It's not
glammed
really a
her up a
bra,
bit.
but at least she's wearing a bra, unlike a lot of these 80s canon movies where you'd think that bras hadn't even been invented yet.
Yeah. Oh, thank God for the 80s. But yeah, they do
Phew.
also give Sharon Stone like a ton of jewelry. At this point, I'm like, why do they even need to go to King Solomon's mine? Because they gave her like a
Yeah.
this tiara thing, and it has a huge fucking diamond
Oh
on it.
yeah, it's like the size of like a plum. It's a
Yeah,
huge diamond. I mean, huge. Just like, oh wow. You'd think that would like they would like. Okay, here's the thing. Either it's worthless enough that they would give it to some stranger, in which case, why wouldn't they just sell it to like improve the lives of their tribe? Or if it was like a priceless culture heirloom, why would they be giving it to this strange woman?
exactly.
That makes no sense.
I don't know. It's super weird. It's super weird. But as quickly as we get introduced to this good tribe, we meet like the super evil tribe. It's not the cannibal tribe. This is like a different tribe.
Yeah, how did we get from the upside down good tribe to the other cannibal tribe?
Uh,
I'm blanking on that transition.
so it's honestly it's Alan Quartermain and Sharon Stone walking
Did they just
out
walk away
like
and stumble into them?
yeah, the Kaiser and
Kaiser Nazi.
Sala, they come into the good tribes area, which then makes Alan Quartermain and Sharon Stone run out of it, of the good tribes area, right into the arms of the evil tribe.
Evil tribe number two. These are two separate evil tribes that live within like 10 miles of each other, apparently.
Yeah. In which they string up Alan Quartermain and they're about to feed him to alligators. And Sharon Stone's like, I love him, don't do it. And then out of nowhere, the manservant from earlier in the film shows up and he's like, hey, I'm actually the leader of this tribe.
Oh my God, you're right. I forgot about that. He like shows some scar on his arm or something to
It's
prove
like
that
of an
he's the.
alligator. It's like a scar of an alligator,
Oh,
too.
I didn't even realize it was a picture. I thought it was just like some random birthmark or something.
Yeah,
But
it's weird,
like
right?
it's not set up at all. Uh, and it comes out because you think that he's going to be out of the picture the whole time. I think we lose him in the train scene, right?
Yep.
And he just comes out of nowhere to save the day. Our main
Uh,
characters are helpless.
pretty much. And then the leader, the old leader of the evil tribe, teams up with the Kaiser and Sala to get to King Solomon's mine. And we realize that the movie only has 15 minutes left. And they haven't even gotten to the fucking mine yet.
No. Oh, that reminds me. Another irritating plot weirdness thing. So, okay, this guy who was in the beginning, they're kind of like their muscle. He turns up and ends up being the leader of this other evil tribe, which is like the guardian of the mine, right?
Yeah.
He not only he's not only the leader of that tribe, but he also like knows where the secret passages and the entrances are to this mine because he leads them there, right? Why didn't they just go there and follow him to begin with?
I have no idea. It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
This whole movie could have just been skipped. It's like, hey man, your tribe knows where this is. Can we just follow you? And he'd be like, okay. And it was like 20 minutes later, and then they found the mine, and
And
they
then
would
the
have beat
movie's over.
they would have beaten the Kaiser Nazis there by like days.
It
But
was just, it's so weird. But
we're at the mines, yay!
we do transition and get to the mines pretty quick after everything is over, at least for Alan Quartermain. The Kaiser and Sala eventually run into a giant vat of quicksand, and thus ensues a lot of backstabbing between the Kaiser and Sala, right? Where I think Sala at this point is kind of like, I'm just going to let you die here, but then goes no, and then kills all of his men except for the Kaiser.
Oh
And
yeah,
then they go into the mine,
because they use the dead guys in the quicksand as like stepping stones.
which is pretty smart.
Oh
But
yeah, that makes sense. It's a valuable use of HR resources.
also, you can't die in quicksand. Uh,
You
eventually,
can't.
you get to a point. Um, it's either never going to be deep enough in order for you to get fully submerged, or the amount of space that you occupy will, like,
Oh, is it like a buoyancy thing, or
essentially, like,
you're less dense than sand?
eventually you compact everything else around you to the point where you just can't sink any further.
Huh. Oh, I didn't wasn't expecting to come into this episode learning something real about quicksand, but
Do you know what you can die from, though?
getting shot.
Getting shot in corn silos. So if you
Corn
ever
silos.
so if you ever find yourself near a corn silo, specifically the top entrance of a corn silo, and it's full of corn, you will sink to the fucking bottom and die.
Really?
Yes.
That's terrifying. Is it? I guess it's the opposite problem where like you'll push all the corn out of the way and you're not buoyant enough to like you can't swim on it. So you're just gonna sink to
Exactly.
the bottom and drown in corn.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You also know what's
Oh.
terrifying about corn silos? If you open up a corn silo and you don't relegate the speed in which the corn exit the silo, it will catch on fire.
Wait, like if you open up at the bottom when it's full and if it's
Yeah.
coming out too fast, like the friction will just like torch it.
Yes.
Hey, popcorn.
Exactly. Third degree
Mm.
burns, but
Yum, yum, yum,
popcorn.
yum, 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 yum.
Yeah.
Oh, so what you're saying, Phil, though, is that the corn in the cannibal pot was like a metaphor. That was like theming because corn represents danger and death.
Exactly.
Ah, okay.
It's
Wow, King
that's
Solomon's Mines, you did it.
this thing is multi-level.
Lots of layers on this guy.
It's like an onion, like a
Okay.
really shitty onion. But yeah, watch a YouTube video. Just put in like corn silo fire and you'll see it. It's absolutely terrifying.
That does sound terrifying. Way more terrifying than you know what? The quicksand in this movie, it looks like coffee grounds. It looked
It
kind of
does.
weird. It looked like a fake quicksand that they might put in like Legends of the Hidden Temple or something.
It probably is just the coffee grounds of all the coffee that they drank so far making this film.
Oh God, we've got so much plot left. There's only 15 minutes.
What are we gonna do?
Oh my God.
But yeah, so eventually everyone gets into King Solomon's mine, and it looks just like a red blob from like here on out for a good portion of the film. Like they just use red lights inside of the mines to depict spookiness, and I guess there is lava too.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that because there's a part where they've captured Sharon Stone and they've let her in to like sacrifice her, I guess, and everyone else is kind of in chase. But they've got her like suspended above what I'm assuming is a lava pit. But they grab a big piece of something and they like hang it over her head. Is it supposed to be like glowing hot? Because the color is wrong. Did you notice that?
I wonder. Same here. I don't know if it was glowing hot. Did you ever see what's that TV show? Game of Thrones?
I have not seen a single episode of Game of Thrones somehow.
well, consider yourself lucky. It's not that good. But there
Oh,
is
hot takes.
there is a scene in which they do like pour hot metal over someone's head. And I was wondering if they were about to do that to Sharon Stone.
Oh, okay. So you think that was like I'm sure there's a name for it, like a vessel with that's holding a bunch of molten lead or something. You
Yeah,
think they're
kind
gonna
of
like
like
tip it onto her?
they're gonna do like a, what do they call it? Like the molten ox thing or whatever.
Oh, is that really
The
like pour it down their throat?
Yeah, something like that.
Terrifying.
Eventually, Alan Quartermain, Sharon Stone, and the manservant guy
There's
get
got to be
deeper
there's got to
into
be a
the.
better way we can refer to him. But that's really what he is. This stupid movie.
It is. It's horrible. They eventually get deeper into the mine, and they see Sharon Stone, but in a brown wig, in a piece of crystal, and it's Sheba, the boobies of the mountain.
Oh my
Sheba.
god, I completely forgot about that. That went nowhere.
Yeah,
So
because he
they were like in suspended animation, or was it just like a reflection? What was the deal with
I think
that?
they would no. I think they were just like in suspended animation in these crystals. And even the servant guy was like, dude, this is why everyone loves you, Sharon Stone, because you look just like her. And they
Uh,
never comment on it again.
See, how cool would that have been if it was like they like the end of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where like they find someone back there, like they find the actual Sheba back
Yeah.
there, and there's like some test or something to win King Solomon's gold, something like that, where they interact with her. I don't know. That could have been fun instead of
And
doing nothing
tonight,
with it.
you can win King Solomon's mine. The Plinko board comes up.
Remember to spay and neuter your pets. Control the animal population.
Uh,
Oh.
Meanwhile, the evil people are trying to get through King Solomon's mine as well. And they find a giant fucking spider, like in Lord of the Rings, like a Shelob type
Hey, and
creature.
Sheila, and that goes nowhere.
And that goes nowhere.
It eats a guy, eats a random no-name red shirt guy, and that's the end of that.
It's really weird that they spent the money on that and it just never goes anywhere.
Maybe that's one of those cases where they once they started to move it around a little bit too much, they realized how terrible it looked, and they're just like, I don't put that in the movie. even we've got standards.
Low standards. So Alan Quartermain and Sharon Stone eventually find the gold in King Solomon's mine, but it's booby trapped, and
Naturally,
the water level starts to rise, and they don't do anything. They just let the pressure build up enough to where it just blows out the side of a wall.
so I thought that at first too, but it's actually the Nazi guy who saves them.
Wait, what?
He lights a stick of dynamite because he's trying to he sees the stone go down in front of the entrance to the treasure room, and he's trying to blast his way in to get the treasure. He inadvertently
Weird.
saves our main characters. Nazis, proto Nazis save the main characters who are helplessly about to drown.
And that's weird. And the fact that all the rushing water didn't take the gold with it. When the Nazi gets in there, all the jewels and stuff like that are still perfectly in place.
It looks fine.
Uh
Stupid movie.
Thus ensues more double crossing backstabs in which Sala is like, fill up all of your pockets and start eating the jewels, and when we get out of here, I'm going to cut you open alive and I will get my rewards. And the Nazi starts to do it, but Sala eventually gets knocked out again, like the roof collapses and he gets buried under a bunch of rubble.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so then the Kaiser's like, haha,
Sucker.
you're trapped underneath there. And
We'll
everyone
never
starts
see you again.
wink.
Wink.
Everyone starts to realize that they need to get the fuck out of King Solomon's mine as it is collapsing. And there comes a moment, kind of like the Last Crusade, where Alan Quartermain and Sharon Stone have some jewels, and their friend, quote unquote, their friend, not a slave, tells them like, hey, you need to leave that behind. That's the mines.
Our main characters are just the worst. They're still trying to plunder this place.
Yes. And in order to plunder this place, they have to cross a stone puzzle in which there's water and a
Yeah.
bunch of unseen piranha.
Which is like it's like the worst foot puzzle ever because only there's like probably what 24 like stepping stones over this like precarious water pit. Only one of them is booby trapped, and it's conveniently marked in red.
Yeah. You'd have to be stupid.
But luckily, we've got a Nazi in tow, so
Yes.
Schrodinger's booby trap.
The Kaiser he immediately steps on the red stone and falls into the water, and he just gets eaten.
Yeah, he gets eaten by what looks like a hippo. But is this supposed to be
for some reason the piranha aren't there anymore because someone else dies. It's now all of a sudden like a mythological hippo creature.
Yeah, it looks fake as shit. It looks like it's made out of like concrete or foam rubber or something, but it doesn't move. It just kind of like pops out of the water in mechanical like straight line motions, like it's a jaw, like the Jaws ride at Universal Studios.
They got
Is it supposed to be real?
from Red Sonja. Remember Red Sonja? And that thing pops out of the water and kills people?
Not well enough.
I don't know. I think it's supposed to be real, but it doesn't look real. It's
just a bad
effect.
prop. Yeah.
But yeah, so Alan
Nazi's
Quartermain
dead.
and the gang, they're running out of the mine, and then Sala shows up, and there's a mini, I wouldn't even say mini, like a micro tussle. And then Sala gets caught on fire and he falls into the lava and he finally dies.
Oh, thank God. Yeah, this is what, like the third or fourth time we've gotten like a fake Sala Gimli's dead, but he comes back to life.
And then we get the heartfelt moment where Alan Quartermain and Sharon Stone say goodbye to their helpful friend who is now king of a not so evil tribe.
Yeah, I guess you're only as evil as your evil tribe leader, so that when the good tribe leader comes back, everyone suddenly is feeling less killy.
Exactly. As they start to leave, they quip, and despite being told to leave the jewels inside the mine, Alan Quartermain pulls out a giant diamond from his pocket, and then Sharon Stone pulls out a giant diamond from her breasticle area, and they laugh. And the credits
These
go.
Stupid people. These are ours now.
Yeah. King Solomon's Mines.
King Solomon's Mines.
1 star.
Oh, 1 star, huh? You gave it a whole star?
I gave it 1 whole star.
What did it earn that star for?
There were moments where I went, I remember Indiana Jones.
Remember good movies?
What did you give it? I'm assuming a 0.
Half a star.
Nice.
For Jerry Goldsmith's music, which again,
Goldsmith.
This movie did not deserve. Otherwise, this movie sounded like dog shit. The ADR was weird. The sound effects some parts were just missing music entirely. It looked like garbage. The blue screen was lazy and bad for the time. The props, the fake hippos, the like coffee ground quicksand. It looked and sounded like garbage, except for when Jerry Goldsmith's music was on. That elevated it a little bit. But
R.I.P. Jerry Goldsmith.
Oh,
you know what's good though?
What's that?
Jerry Goldsmith didn't come to this for the sequel. Alan Quartermain and the Lost City of Gold.
They made another one of these.
They made these back to back, baby. You're gonna have to watch another one.
I'm this stupid podcast.
Yeah, and this one though it's not directed by the same guy. It's the same issue with the Braddock movies, where it's sequels shot back to back, but they're made by different directors.
That's so weird. Missing in action, right? Yeah. So was this another case where like, oh, maybe they made the sequel. They put the sequel out second, but it actually was shot first. And that's why the beginning of this movie is so jarring, is because we're actually seeing the end of the other movie.
I don't know. I didn't really look into the sequel, The Lost City of Gold. But I do have a couple things to tell you about King Solomon's Mines.
Oh, trivia
Um,
time.
Sharon Stone was hired by mistake. Menachem Golem said, "I want that stone woman." At the time of at the time of when they were making and pre-production King Solomon's Mines, the amazing film Romancing the Stone. Have you ever seen this one?
No, but I know by its title.
Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, Danny DeVito came out. The movie is fucking awesome.
Hey, Charlie, I got to romance a stone, Charlie.
Exactly.
I'm assuming that's what it was
Menachem
about.
Golem wanted Kathleen Turner, not Sharon Stone.
And he said, I get it. The stone woman, the woman from the Stone movie.
Yes.
But so was Sharon Stone, did she have a career or did they just find some random woman whose last name was Stone?
She had somewhat of a career. She was in the beginning of her ascent,
Okay,
right?
Probably was doing TV or something.
Exactly. Magnum PI, Bay City Blues. She had a couple, some movie roles, but nothing huge.
Right.
But enough to people to know who she is.
So what happened when she showed up on set and it wasn't the same person?
I don't know. They're probably just like, fuck it.
Whatever.
Let's see here. Richard Chamberlain was hired under the pretense that this was going to be a Indiana Jones type film, but felt as he came on and they started filming it that he was cheated and that he was lied to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I guess Sharon Stone was extremely difficult to work with during this film, and crew members would urinate in her bathtub.
Oh, I mean,
while it was full, and she didn't know that it was pee-peed in until it was too late.
Oh,
she bathed in pee.
I've heard those rumors that she's, I guess not rumors, but that she's kind of difficult to work with, and that's why her career wasn't what it was. But I didn't realize it was so started so early. Like you'd think that would be something you develop when you become like a big movie star. But this was her first movie, and it was a canon movie. Like, pump the brakes there. You got no laurels to rest on.
You're no one, Sharon.
You're no
one, and you're gonna be no one quick after you become somebody.
now get in my pee.
Lucinda Dickey was originally penciled to be Jessie in the sequel, but had a falling out with Menachem Golem and Yorm Globus.
Aww.
And she was replaced by Sharon Stone. So Sharon Stone is just herself in the sequel.
Wow, she came back for that after all the pee treatment.
After all the pee treatment.
Jeez. I mean, we loved Lucinda Dickey. I would have loved to see her in this instead.
Oh, definitely. Let's see here. King Solomon's Mines. I just lost my tab. Where'd it go?
In the mine. That's the mines tab now.
It's and they called it a mine.
And a mine.
A mine. It had a budget of $11 million and only made 15.
That's not good.
Has a 13% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, I thought for sure this would have been in the single digits. Wow.
In 2011, a new sequel was proposed by Menachem Golem called Alan Quartermain and the Jewel of the East. And it was going to be directed by Golem himself.
Oh.
And they were even going to get Richard Chamberlain to come back.
What, from the grave? How old is he?
Richard Chamberlain is dead. No, he's 87. He's 87. So yeah, he would have been old as shit.
Was it going to be like the main character's grandpa? I mean,
it could have been like the passing of the torch.
Yeah, and
someone who they don't fucking care about.
Yeah, who would be a really terrible cast choice for young Alan Quarter Jr.
A little quarter pounder. I mean, I guess there's so many B-level action stars. Who's the guy who was in John Carter of Mars? Give it to that motherfucker. No one cares about him.
No, you know, Taylor Lautner.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Taylor Lautner. You used to be someone, now you're no one.
Now
But you
you're
still got more
nobody.
money than me, so
Yeah, who's laughing now?
exactly me.
Well, speaking, I mean, okay, so like this is we go back to the fact that this is a horrible ripoff of Indiana Jones. I feel like we both really like those movies, right? What's your favorite part about an Indiana Jones movie?
I mean, I think it's the adventure and the religion aspect of like
Okay,
I really enjoy
like that mythology, like the
the
Christian mythology.
exactly and
Okay,
and essentially like him going, I don't believe it, and then he finds beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's actually real.
yeah. After he sees like some Nazi faces get melted, he's probably like,
Exactly.
although he doesn't see it because he has eyes closed.
Yeah, true. the,
He
the
hears their
big
faces
special
melting.
effects. He's like, Marion, I could smell Nazis burning. What's your favorite part of
Hmm.
Indiana Jones?
Yeah, it's funny. I was going to say the same thing. I like the idea that he's like this skeptic, and then he's like through the adventure, and he like slowly like realizes it's real, and that's where like the threat comes from. But he's just he Indiana Jones reminds me a lot of what's his name from Die Hard, John
John
McClane.
McClane.
Yeah, where he's kind of like a reluctant hero in a lot of ways. He just, I mean, slightly less reluctant because he kind of goes into charging into danger, but he's also very mortal. He makes a lot of mistakes and gets hurt, and it's a very relatable and kind of like charming. You kind of root for him, but he's not superhuman.
Exactly.
Um, so we like all those things, and here's where I'm going to get into my six things about Indiana Jones movies that I think that they tried to do here. Like they've overall, I think they've got all of the elements of an Indiana Jones movie. They just they either do it wrong or they're in the wrong proportions. So there's the lead, right? The
Yes.
Indiana Jones. You got to have the Indiana Jones. He's kind of the scrappy adventurer. But in this one, he's just unfunny and unlikable and kind of mean.
100%.
Like really kind of like very culturally insensitive, which I mean, even for the time, it was bad. Talking about like laughing at the slave market, Jesus. So that's one thing. You get your main character wrong. We've got our female lead who they tried to do like the fish out of water thing, like we said before, where it's kind of like a cross between a Marion and a Willie, but she's just completely incapable. Also kind of unlikable and kind of insensitive, but just kind of horribly sexist the way they like she's so childlike and everything. She's not likable at all.
The things that they make her say are offensive.
Yeah, the things that they make her say, it's just it's uncomfortable to watch. So already off the bat, our two main characters, which are like key elements of an Indiana Jones movie, there's the adventure and the sidekick of the movie. Then you've got the bad guys, right? Who's the bad guy? First of all, and the biggest part about this one is that the Nazis, right? They try to do a Nazi thing. You got to have the big bad evil guy, but in this one, they're bumbling idiots, so the threat is completely removed. But in a couple scenes, they actually like the Nazi guys come to the rescue of the main characters. He dynamites the flooded room to let the water out. There's a couple parts. I think the first cannibal tribe, they are actually like the Nazis come running in with guns and chase them out so that they can escape. Or maybe it's the second one. I don't remember. But like there's no bad, like the actual bad guy. There's no threat. So you lose that. Number four, you've got exotic locations and mysterious people, right? That's another part of Indiana Jones. It's kind of
Big
cool.
part.
Big part,
Yes.
yeah. It's like ancient tombs and crypts and mysterious kind of people who they're unfamiliar to kind of Western audiences, which they toe a line in Indiana Jones where it's mysterious and kind of exotic, but in a good way, in a respectful way. Whereas in this one, it's like I said before, at best disrespectful, but basically just racist.
100. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad. Number five is the action and the swashbuckling, right? You got to have
it's shit.
Yeah, it's shit. There's no real stakes, like we said at the beginning. The characters make really dumb choices and they just go on for way too long. The whole thing in the beginning, which goes half an hour, Jesus. And then the last thing is the treasure, right? Like the artifacts or the MacGuffin.
The
This is the
purpose of the entire movie to exist.
exactly the whole like the driver of the plot, the whole purpose for everything happening, right? But the way that they do it in this one is so in Indiana Jones, he's rushing to get to the artifact to protect it, to keep the bad guys from like plundering it and exploiting it in some way. In this movie, our characters also want to plunder these resources.
They're just equally as bad as their motivations are equally as bad as the bad guys.
Exactly. Like their whole there's no like, oh, it belongs in the museum. Like they actively try to steal things from the get-go. As soon as they get to the treasure room, they're like, fill your pockets, take as much as you can carry. And they have to be scolded by the tribe leader, the good tribe leader, to like put the diamonds down on their way out. Like, this belongs to the mine, my dudes. That's evil.
You can't steal this stuff.
Don't steal this. This is our cultural birthright. This is important to our religion. No, they just like peace out with it. And the fact it all kind of comes back to the ending of this stupid movie where they it turns out that they did plunder a little bit, two huge diamonds, and we're supposed to be like, oh, you whippersnappers. Like it's supposed to be this fun, kind of cute moment.
Yeah, exactly. It's supposed to be like, oh man, I wish I got it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. Those are actually really good points. I didn't think of that the good guys are essentially just as bad
They're just as
as the bad guys.
like if I were these tribes, like I would be trying to kill and eat these people too because they're horrible tomb raiders.
Tomb Raiders. Nice. I see what you did there.
See me? Yeah. Also bad movies, but it's yeah. Like honestly, I think I put more. This movie just rubbed me the wrong way because it ruined a really great series for me in how like a lot of these movies like Alien Contamination, right? That tried to ape on the success of Alien, but it was by and large it's kind of its own movie. Like the similarities were very surface level. This was a way tighter carbon copy, but the carbon like copy just kind of like got dumped into shit, and then they released it anyway.
the, yeah, no, 100. I agree with every point that you put down. 100%.
And thus ends Greg's rant on King Solomon's Mines. I'll shut up now.
Thus ends King Solomon's Mine. What good movies or what movies have you seen recently?
Good stuff, yeah. So I think the big one on both of our radars was Ghostbusters Afterlife, which came out this past Friday.
It did.
I mean, you probably have a lot more to say about it than I did. I'll keep it brief, but I thought it was great. It was a genuinely fun movie. I mean, it looked and sounded good. The new characters they introduced were all really likable, and they kind of had that same cool dynamic that the original like crew had. I mean, really, my only complaint, which is minor, is that they at the end they kind of relied a little too much on like fan service of the original crew. And it was still very minor. Like it was only until the very end that they showed up, but I would have liked it if it was just the kind of the ghost of Egon Spengler. But overall, I loved it. I'm sure you probably think about that differently, but
I do think about it differently, but not so. My issue was, yes, again, I loved it. I thought it was great. I've been waiting 35 years for this film.
Yeah.
I think my issue is at the moment where the Phoebe character calls Ray, and it's no spoilers. You see it in the preview and stuff like that. That Ray's in the film. They hang up and that conversation ends, and then the main character and plot keeps moving forward. And we forget about Ray until the end. Like,
yeah,
there should have been a moment where after they hang up, Ray calls up Peter or Winston and goes like, hey, I think we might have a problem, to set up the Ghostbusters showing up at the end instead of it just being like them just being there.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point. I think for me that probably would have made it make it seem like less like fan service and more about like a real plot. Like the old crew coming to the rescue of the family. They're like a family member basically of their old buddy who they like kind of turned their back on, it sounds like, after he kind of went off the deep end about the end of the world.
Yeah.
That
And
yeah, I think that would have helped.
I think there could have been like a little bit, and it makes me wonder because Jason Reitman, the things that I've read, has said that he re-edited the film a few times over COVID because the movie was supposed to come out like 2 years ago. Kind of
Yeah.
just makes me wonder if there's stuff in there. I thought, because again, like they just magically show up at the end. There should have been like moments leading up to that where like maybe they show up in Ecto 1A from Ghostbusters 2 and it shows them and they're, it's like kind of tense and they're like, are we going to make it in time? And they're like, yeah, we're going to make it. Don't worry. And then, they show up at the end instead of just Bill Murray being like, hey, did you miss us?
Yeah,
And it's
like
kind of like,
out of
what?
nowhere. We didn't see them pull up. They're just kind of there.
But I thought everything else was fantastic. Like all the new characters were great. There was only one gag in the film that laid dead for me.
Ghostbusters. I see it.
Exactly. And I'll say it now just so I can say it to you, but I'll probably just edit it out. But when Paul Rudd's character meets Carrie Coon's character and they're both possessed, and he's like, nice eyes. And then she kind of just like growls at him because she's a dog. I was like, oh no, that's not funny. But that was the only part of it where I was just like, that was the only part.
A joke that
of the
fell
film.
flat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, the fact that they made the new characters as likable as they are, I feel like that's the biggest triumph, because that's always the hardest thing to do in these kind of soft reboot, remake, sequels, is to make you care about the new characters. And I think that's why I was probably as irritated by them showing up, the old guys showing up at the end, as I was, because like I actually liked the new characters. I wanted to see them end it all by themselves.
Yeah.
And kind of
exactly.
have more agency on it because I like them so much, as opposed to just like, oh, the new characters suck, just give me the old stuff, because like that's all we've got. I think it's a testament to the movie that makes you, that you become more sensitive to the fan service.
And how about Olivia Wilde as Gozer at the end?
Wait, that was Olivia Wilde?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's funny, because actually we were, as we were coming back, I was like, wow. And I just kind of remembered offhand. I was like, wow, that the person they got to play, I didn't look for her in the credits. I didn't know who she was. But like I remember thinking on the car ride home, like, wow, she nailed that. Like the look of her and the physicality and just like the performance, the kind of the creepy, it's kind of hard to describe, the kind of creepy evil spirit performance. It was perfect. Great casting.
Yeah. And then the only other, like, I guess by the time this comes out, it'll be weeks. The only other thing that was, to me, that was like, what? Was J.K. Simmons showing up for a second only to get ripped in half.
Oh, as Ivan Shandor, whatever his name was.
Which, again, it makes me wonder, like, is there a direct release the Reitman cut? Is there something else out there?
Right? I was wondering a little bit about that too. It seemed kind of like it wasn't edited in a way to make it seem like it was meant to be a cameo, like a one shot cameo. Like it felt like there was more to it that we were just missing. And the fact that you said that he re-edited over COVID, I bet there is a Reitman cut with him in it more. Asking for more pictures of Spider-Man.
Yeah, get me pictures of Spider-Man.
Oh, Spider-Man.
When the 4K comes out, obviously I'll have it and I'll be rewatching it all the time. So maybe there's some stuff there, but no, yeah, overall I thought it was great. It was definitely worth it. I cried multiple times throughout the film. I mean, shit, the movie opened and I just started crying. So
I mean, for those of you listening, I feel like we maybe not have set this up, but Phil is a monster Ghostbusters fan.
I am. I love Ghostbusters. It's my favorite film. It's always been my favorite film, despite Star Wars and stuff like that existing. I ordered the proton pack thing that's coming out. I spent
the high priced
replica, on a fake proton pack that I will wear.
Around the house with no clothes on.
So yeah, No, that was definitely a big highlight for me this week. I also watched a couple other new films to me. I watched Candyman, the another Legacy sequel.
Oh yeah, the new Candyman, the 2021 Candyman.
Thought it
Love
was
that as well. Yeah.
fantastic. It was really good. It definitely exceeded my expectations. And then the only other one to note is I finally saw A Quiet Place 2.
Oh yeah. Was that streaming on HBO Max or did you have to rent that from somewhere?
It was a 4K. It was super cheap off of Amazon. It was like a
Oh,
$9
okay.
4K.
Okay, you got the disc. Gotcha.
It was good. I thought, I think the first one's still better. Um, I think my biggest gripe with it was the people had the radio tower, and instead of them just going like, hey, come to this island, they played that song, right? And they're like, well,
Mm,
it's a riddle for people to figure out. And I'd been like, man, I'm fucking screwed. There's no way I would have ever figured that out.
yeah. I mean, on one hand, you can kind of relate to like if we found this island paradise that the monsters can't get to because they're super dense, I guess, if I remember right. But like I would want to keep people away. Why would they have the radio tower at all?
Exactly. If I didn't want people there, I wouldn't play anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like a weird motivation. Like if you want people there, you're going to try to make it easy for them, or you don't want them there and you don't play anything at all. Why the weird riddle?
Also, the fact that if they can't swim, spoilers for a movie that's been out for a bit. The
Right after we
monsters,
get done spoiling Afterlife like
I know.
crazy.
uh,
Sorry.
after realizing that they can't swim, why wouldn't the radio island just play a bunch of music, essentially luring the creatures into the water to drown them?
Oh, like not over the radio, like actually like blasting sound.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're smart enough to not get in the water. I don't know.
I don't know.
But overall, I think I agree. I remember liking that well enough.
It was
It,
enjoyable.
it was one of those movies that the first one was kind of like an outside, like, oh, they're like kind of pleasantly surprised by it. And I think that was kind of the best you could hope for with this one too as a sequel. But yeah, it seemed to deliver, expanded the mythology of the monsters a little bit more and give you a little bit of a past of what was like before they kind of laid waste to the world. Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what though, if I didn't know for the fact that John Krasinski directed that film, I'd said Tarantino did, because there's a lot of feet shots in it.
I haven't noticed. Is it noticeable?
Oh yeah, it's super noticeable. I made the joke to Jackie. I was like, man, it's like fucking Tarantino made this film. Like I get it, like you're showing them walking quietly across the land,
Oh yeah, I guess that's
but
why.
like I don't need to. We don't need
It's a
to.
whole lot of dirty feet.
It's a whole. It's a whole lot of dirty feet.
I don't know. Maybe John
Yep.
Krasinski. It's probably not an uncommon fetish. Maybe he really likes his wife's feet. That's why
He's,
he cast her in it because of her feet.
he's- oh God. He's like, babe, I had to have a conversation with you. I wanna put you in a movie because I really like your feet. I don't know how that conversation.
Okay.
How great is that though? That John Krasinski got paid to write, direct, and act, and then went, I should make more money. I'll put my own wife in this.
I know, right? Boy, they're like triple, quadruple dipping on that paycheck. Good for them. And it made a ton of money. I mean, that's a no brainer. That's some
Yeah.
4D chess moves right there.
It's yeah. Ugh. What else
Quite
did you
good.
watch?
Yeah, the other thing I was going to bring up, is something I've seen before, but we watched it again recently, kind of on a whim, was Hell House LLC, that found footage movie from it's like 2015, 2014, something
Okay.
like that. Did you ever see that one?
No, I thought that was a TV show.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of The Haunting of Hill House, the
Okay.
Netflix series. This one is actually pretty good. It's on Shutter. I think you should definitely check it out. It's definitely one of the better like post Blair Witch found footage movies. I mean, we all know there's like a glut of those things after that time, after 1999 or whenever that came out. This is one of the better ones. I think it's not quite as good as like Wreck or what's that Japanese one? The Curse, like
The
some of the other
Grudge.
one. Not no, the found footage movies.
Oh, okay.
kind of like my documentary style. So there's some of the like there are better post Blair Witch found footage movies that can't have come out, but this one's pretty solid. Definitely check out some good scares, kind of a cool premise. It's like a haunted house, like a bunch of people they put on a haunted house every year, and they like end up picking an actual haunted house to do it in, unbeknownst to them. And it sounds kind of goofy, but it's kind of a cool, unique premise. And I mean, aside from the ending being kind of dumb, it's actually pretty good. So yeah, check that out. Kind of weaning myself back into a horror movie watching after October. So
Nice. Very nice. Well, the next episode is the Big 5-0. And if
Big
it wasn't for the
5-0.
fact that it was the Big 5-0, I would elect to watch Romancing the Stone because they wanted to get the Stone Lady.
The Stone Lady. Yeah.
But 50 is too big of a number
Yep.
to not give to a canon film, a proper canon film. The king of canon film, Charles Bronson, is back in a movie directed and edited by Michael Winner, Death Wish 3.
Woo! Death Wish 3.
Music by Jimmy Page.
Wait, the Jimmy Page?
Yeah.
Didn't he do the music for some of his other movies and we already had a reaction to it?
Yeah, he did the music for Death Wish too.
Yeah.
And you brought it up and I was like, there's no fucking way it's Jimmy Page.
I think I saw him in the credits. I was like, that can't be the same one. But surely that he wouldn't have come back for the next sequel. But hey, looking forward to it. I can't wait. I bought this on Blu-ray from a secondhand store months and months ago, probably last year. Geez, and it's been staring at me from my Blu-ray shelf for months. Finally,
I am super excited. I think this is the one that everyone really talks about when it comes to the Death Wish series. I don't think people really talk about the fourth one too much or the fifth one. There are 5, right?
Yeah. Or I mean, maybe the first one it probably had the best like critical response, but of the sequels for sure, this is kind of like the peak.
So I think it's going to be interesting for sure. I think if I remember right, when I think about it, I look more fondly back at number 2 than I do the first one for sure. I thought the second one was pretty good. I remember his daughter jumping out the window and killing herself.
Yeah, on the wrought iron fence. That's like the only thing I do remember about that movie.
So yeah, I just remember that the first one didn't close the loop on the punk gang in the beginning, and that upset me.
Oh yeah, because it was Jeff Goldblum and his gang weirdos.
Yeah,
assaulting his wife and daughter, and then he never catches them.
Exactly.
Maybe Death Wish 3 will secretly be about revenge on those original punks.
He comes back and he is like, I never got revenge on those punks.
Those punks.
So his wife and daughter got assaulted in the first one, and that's what sprung him to action.
Right.
And then his daughter dies in the second one, and that's what springs him to action.
Right. Because like I think in the first one, after they were like she's catatonic, basically, right?
Yeah.
After like the mother dies, the daughter's catatonic. She comes out of the hospital in the beginning of the second one and then gets killed immediately. So revenge. Who's left in this guy's life to get revenge for her?
It would have to be the wife, right? Like the wife is still, his ex-wife is still alive. I would assume.
I thought she died in the first one.
What?
I maybe we should go back and rewatch the first one too, because we clearly don't remember enough about it. I thought only the daughter survived. Like she's the one who like crawled to the phone and got there in time, and then she was catatonic.
Wait, the wife died in the first one? Then yeah, who the fuck is left?
The dog. Fido, no.
Joanna died from her injuries. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh my god. Red Letter Media, don't sue us.
Die. Okay. Yeah, then he literally has no one else left in his life. It has to be like the dad. Like he has a dad. Obviously he had a dad because he's born, but his dad is like still alive and then dies.
He's like in a nursing home, and then the punks barge in the nursing home and kill all the old people and rob them.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather have it be the dog.
You would feel more emotion. People feel more emotions when a dog dies, when an
I'm
animal
telling you,
dies.
it sounds terrible, but everybody knows what I'm talking about. You
Yep.
always feel. I mean, we're hella desensitized to violence against people in movies. We've been watching enough media for so long to be desensitized to that. But when that dog almost dies on Independence Day, and it heroically leaps through the past the fireball before it gets to the dog, I mean, yeah. And animal cruelty just hits way harder in these movies than violence against people. That's what they should do.
There you go.
Kills his dog. I mean, that's John Wick.
True. Very
Right.
true.
That hits home. But I know we're not that lucky. It's going to be his like accountant or something lame.
Yeah, something lame, some lame ass person that we've never met before will die. And yeah, that's gonna be what spurs him to action in Death Wish 3.
The wishing.
The Wishing. What if it would be awesome if the series went off the rails and he found like a magic lamp and he literally just wished people to death.
It's like it'll be like a 10-minute movie. It's just finally like, oh, what's this? A lamp? Oh, you're a genie. I wish they were dead.
Boom, done. Credits. We got your 50.
How-
It's just like an hour and a half of the words "fuck you." We got your
Fuck you,
money
fuck you, fuck
on
you,
the on the screen.
Get bent, get bent, get bent. Oh my gosh. A literal death wish. Oh my god. I feel like that's gotta be like a gag on like a Mad Magazine thing or the somewhere in the Simpsons. It's gotta be somewhere that someone has to have made that joke before we did.
Oh, probably. We're late to the game.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Death Wish 3 will be the next one for the big 5-0. I know
Big 5-0.
last time we did like a retrospective of the last 25 and made our top 5, but I got to tell you, I don't think we'll talk about it next week. I don't think my list would have changed too much.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
feel
think
like
the last 25 movies have been kind.
if we have to do another one, yeah, we would have to limit it to just all of the ones from episode 25 on. Because otherwise, yeah, it would be a lot of the same. I think there's definitely been a notable downhill in terms of like the entertainment quality, even like good bad movies. I'm sure some of the maybe Invasion USA is up there, but
Joe would still be number 1.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Alien Contamination would be up there. 10 to Midnight would be up there. So
He used it for jacking off.
he used it for jacking off. I'm Charles Bronson.
Before we close out the episode, what was the quote of the week?
Yes, the quote of the week. It was a little bit of an unconventional pick this time. As you may have guessed from my commentary, I think this movie is dog shit, and I don't want to give it any credit. But aside from there was that one scene I mentioned where he stumbles into the rail car full of Nazis, and I thought that was kind of funny. The other thing that got a chuckle out of me, which is where the kind of the quotes, really it's more of a quotes plural of the week comes in, is early on the movie where they go to the antiques dealer, and there's this kind of running gag with him for a couple scenes where things in his shop get destroyed and he like looks really sad and annoyed about it, and he will scream my blank, and he says it like 3 or 4 times. I recorded at least 3 times where he said my door, my table, my statue, and I just thought that was actually kind of a really clever little running gag. I wish there was more of that in this movie and less of the racism. But
I wish the gags were good.
I wish the gags were good, because that's the kind of like funny side character that belongs in an Indiana Jones movie. Like what's his name? Marcus, the kind of the bumbling professor. Like I like the idea of a shopkeeper like having his shop destroyed and being annoyed about it, because that happens in action movies. Things get destroyed, but people don't seem to care. That was a funny gag. I liked it. But then the shopkeeper got blown up by dynamite. So
He got lost in his own museum.
wah, wah. Yeah, so I'm not sure. If Phil, if you by some magic and miracle of editing, you managed to go find all 3 of those, we'll play them now. But But if
Oh
you
my God, comic gold.
wow. But understandably, I don't know where the time codes are for all of those. So if you choose not to splice that in, I'll understand.
I can go back into the depths of King Solomon's mind to try to find them.
I'm so sorry in advance.
Well, if you like what you're hearing, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. Send us an email too at that'scanon@gmail.com. Ask us some questions, give us some comments. I'll read anything that you write.
King Solomon's fan fiction?
If you,
Sure.
I'll ring King Solomon slash fiction.
Who do you ship in this movie, Phil?
Who would
Who's the hot take ship from King Solomon's
it,
Mines?
it would be Sala and the old creepy cannibal leader woman.
Oh, the
I'm
leathery,
shipping those
yeah,
two.
that's good. I think I'm gonna go for the concrete hippo and the evil Nazi German guy.
Yes.
I like the idea that the hippo dragged him away and they're living happily ever after, having concrete hippo Nazi babies.
Concrete hippo Nazi babies. Sign me up.
Heyo.
You can follow us on YouTube at That's Canon. And remember, since we said it,